Hey, folks, welcome into Game Day TV. The world's upside down today as Max is afraid to show his face. You know, I wasn't laughing that hard till you look at him, but you got to admit, that's pretty good. Hey,
well,
Max, you under there?
I'm here. Let me tell you why I'm doing this for you guys. I know the fans based right there in Tennessee, Florida, and Arkansas have had all they can handle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm jumping in there with them. I'm sitting there too, and they deserve what they've got. We're going to talk a little bit about demolition. Guys, the only thing we didn't bring this morning was a bulldozer and a hammer, but that's coming.
But you do have the hard hat, and it's going on real soon. All right, we're going to talk about that. Matt's going to put the hard hat on. We're going to tear down some teams for sure. Maybe he'll show his face, but let me tell you also, on the high school report, we're going to have the high school report along with the playoff brackets, which we will show you whether your team made it into the playoffs or not. We're also going to have Marty Staples back today with tips on tailgating, and we're going to review the top games of the week coming up in the SEC. Kim Shera will have your game day weather report. We're going to talk about big SEC matchups. Nice to have you with us there, Max.
Thank you very much.
And
I'm happy to be back.
What's for supper? So, hey, it's been a full week for us, hasn't it?
But it really has. It was some great football. You know, this time of year, this is what it should be.
Right.
You got, I don't even call it Auburn, Georgia. Georgia comes in as number one in the country to Auburn. We talked about that last week.
Right.
Only a 2.5-point favorite. The guys out there that draw the lines, they knew something already. I don't think, though, anybody expected thrashing at all.
Yeah, it's just amazing. They let them score that last touchdown.
Yeah, that was
I didn't think that they wanted to, but that's right. But on the other side of the ball, a little bit of scare over in Starkville this week.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I was asked that earlier today, Jared. The fact is, I probably didn't take consideration. Mississippi State played UMass last week, won 34-27 in that ball. Well, what they were doing, they were preparing for Alabama. They spent 2 weeks getting ready. And I'm going to tell you, Dan Mullen, his stock went up tremendously. I'm telling you, I don't think anybody in the country thought the line was at 14.5 going into that ball. So I get hats off to Mississippi State for playing that well. Alabama's got some problems, but look, what's going to make this a super, super Iron Bowl? Both teams now have 2 weeks to get ready. I mean, it's going to be what we're calling it comes to a slobber knocker.
That's right. Hey, we're going to get into what ifs, too. What if Auburn wins out?
Wow. See, this is why we toured with that always. If they win out, go back and play Georgia, wins the SEC with 2 losses,
right.
Now you got a half a dozen other one-loss teams out there. By the way, AP polls came out yesterday. Auburn jumped to number 6 in the AP. I can't wait till later tonight when the playoff polls look. Auburn's going to be sitting there at 5 or 6, I believe. I think Oklahoma moves in, Notre Dame comes out. That whole mix of at that time is going to be. But to answer your question, can a 2-loss team that wins the Southeastern Conference jump ahead of, let's say, Wisconsin that may be undefeated? I think therein lies where the problem is.
Well, I think the committee's going to have that's when it gets to where 14 playoffs not enough. That's going to start that whole conversation up about moving it to 6 or 8 teams because
I think you're absolutely right. I don't believe the committee politically can let an undefeated Big Ten team not be in the playoffs. I don't believe that. I don't care if Wisconsin played 12 high school teams and went undefeated. I don't believe they can allow that. I think they'll put them in some way if they stay undefeated.
It'll be interesting. Hey, like I mentioned, it's playoff time in high school football as well, so we're going to have the brackets. Hope your team advanced. There's some shockers, and then there's some that were expected to win as usual, the 1 seeds. Most of them went ahead and won their ball game in playoffs to advance to the second rounds. I'll break that down for you as well. Plus, we'll tell you where we're going to be next week broadcasting. I got a picture of Max that you're not going to believe. We'll show you that later on in the broadcast as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Max put the hard hat on right here on Game Day TV.
The unexpected. The inevitable. The inconvenient. Life can be difficult. Make it a little easier. Alpha Insurance.
At Central State Bank, we are more than your local branch. Our digital lobby offers you the same great service you receive at our local offices, all from the convenience of your phone or home. Use mobile deposit, online banking, mobile wallet, and more. It is easy, convenient, and secure. Come by and see your personal banker or find out more at centralstatebank.com. This is just another way Central State Bank is large enough to serve you and small enough to know you.
Make your vehicle a rolling billboard or a one-of-a-kind by changing the entire color by adding a high-quality vehicle wrap. Sundown Vehicle Wraps is the premier vehicle wrap company in Central Alabama. Our extensive knowledge makes us the leader in vehicle advertising. Whether you're a small business looking to increase revenue or a stabilized company looking for guaranteed visibility for your company, from design to installation, our team delivers with innovative graphics that are guaranteed to turn heads at an affordable price. Visit us on the web to start your next vehicle wrap project.
Welcome back into Game Day TV, everyone. I'm Jerry Young, along with, now you can see him good, legendary Coach Max Howell. Max, what a weekend. There's some teams that almost don't deserve to be in the SEC.
And we're going to talk about three of them.
Why don't we start with Tennessee?
Well, let's do it. They fired their coach this weekend.
Oh.
And no inspection. I think what had happened, he'd already been told he's not coming back. But Missouri beat them like 50 to 17 or some ridiculous number like that. And I'm taking nothing away from Missouri. But Missouri's on a roll right now, Jeff. They may end up winning 7 or 8 ball games. And if they do, I'm taking Barry Odom off the destruction list, and he's going to get a new contract. I believe that. We already talked a little bit about the philosophy up there, but that certainly didn't help the feelings of the Tennessee fans. And they've been clamoring for our changing coaches from Butch Jones and Butch. I did read up earlier this morning as we prepared for our show. I got up and read kind of an overview of Butch Jones's recruiting classes, which he's been nationally ranked 2 years in a row now in the top 10. They took 7 5-star players that were signed there. And we'll give you a stat that I don't even remember how many people would think about this. Out of the 7, 6 of them were C, D, or F performance when they got to Tennessee. All right, let me just tell you guys, if you get a 5-star in this country and he doesn't perform at the college level, I'm going to look in the camera and say, let me tell you whose fault that is. That's the coach's fault, by the way. He had one player that was a 5-star that came to him, but guess where he came from? He came out of junior college, but guess how he got to junior college? He played at Alabama first, then went to Hutchinson Junior College, and then went to Tennessee, and he was the best player at Tennessee. Surprised or not?
That's
no,
right.
I don't think anybody was.
Right.
My point is the coaching philosophy and the standard of excellence that should be there that Butch Jones always talked about, they never reached. And I think that was a deterioration of the program. And then they had some conflict going on, that they changed coordinators 3 times in 5 years, and all of that leads to disharmony when performance. So Coach Jones is gone. There's 100 names on the list, probably be narrowed down to 8 or 10. They've already made some offers to a couple of guys, and some of the ones out there, I'm not going to get into names. I don't know why they even want those guys. They were NFL coaches, and obviously if they're not NFL coaches today, they weren't very successful at that
Right.
level.
Well, one thing, too, that we mentioned is not always do you get your first pick.
No, a great point. I think Butch Jones was like number 5 or 6.
Right.
I know Bielema at Arkansas was that
Right.
low. And sometimes when you have a program in complete disarray, coaches, and I think here's going to be one, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is whoever they get to come to Ole Miss. Because not so much about Ole Miss, their performance this week, they scored 50 points.
Right.
But the fact is, all the sanction that comes down, and you're going to accrue some losses along the way. Does a young coach want those losses on his resume? I don't care what the circumstances are. And I think that's maybe where some of the decisions have to come for the administrators. And I'll throw one more point in, Jerry. At no better time right now than athletic directors are going to have to assume the responsibility of who they hire and the end result of their program. That is just now starting to surface. That down at Auburn with Jay Jacobs, he steps down. Not so much one loss on the football team, but some other turmoil problems.
Right.
Those guys are paid. I think Jay was making $1.3 million or something like that. You can't pay a guy $1 million a year and not expect him to be responsible.
Well, that's why I hold you responsible for everything.
Well, you should. I know, and I'm waiting to cash that check. I already told you I get one of those checks. You're going to have to do this long distance. My segment's going to be coming from Vegas. Counting my money.
Well, get Philip to go out there to Vegas to record this.
Record
We're good to go.
my video.
That's right.
Ready to roll. Anyway, all those. But Tennessee's made the change now, or in the verge of making a change. They got, I don't know. They only had one bright spot. They had a pick by Nigel Warrior. This man, he's the son of a former Tennessee player. But I don't know. They used down to their 3rd-string quarterback. I don't look for them to do
It's
too
just
well
in
the rest of
total
the year.
disarray.
It really is.
Disarray. All right. The second team, also with a fired head coach, is Florida.
Yep.
They stay on the demolition under the hard hat
No doubt about that. Randy Shannon, bless his heart, I know is trying to do the job. If you watch that ball game, that was a total embarrassment. I was told that there's some folks, some administrative folks, pull that team together and threaten to take all of them scholarship away. And that wouldn't surprise me if that happened. I mean, it would. I mean, that's a political thing you won't be able to do. My point, they were trying to make a point, though, in the performance on the field was so Florida's going to end up 3-9. Yeah. I mean, guess who they play this week? UAB. Going to Gainesville, it would not surprise me one bit to see the Blazers go down there and win that ball game.
I agree with you.
You know, and I know Randy Shannon's in the name. His name's on the list to be considered. But you know, he was fired from Miami. Now he comes home and takes in the first game he coaches. They get beat by 100 points or whatever. Florida just can't. I don't think they can. They got a clean house. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
It's very possible this year that Troy beats LSU and UAB go down and beat Florida.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Sun Belt's jumping out there like the gangbusters. You know that.
You.
So anyway, I think Florida's on in a situation right now. They're doing an active search, and Scott Strickland, I have a lot of confidence in him, and I know it appears that all the alumni do at Florida. They know they're coming, but the difference is from the time they fired Malcolm Wayne till they hire a new coach is that area of 2 or 3 ball games that they just get embarrassed.
Well, you and I were talking. You know, up until the last few years, you couldn't wait to see the Florida State matchup,
right,
which is coming in a couple of weeks. It's like now we're going to watch it just because of interest of the two bad teams.
Exactly right.
But, you know, at one time, Florida State was like Auburn, Alabama. That's one of the rivalries that you watch.
Jerry, if you watch that game with Florida State and Clemson this weekend or with Florida and South Carolina, I'm telling you, if you look at that, I don't believe there's enough talent on both teams combined at Florida State and FSU to win an SEC game.
Right.
I just don't believe that. How it got to that point, I don't know. It all started in the opening game with Florida State and Alabama when it was 1-2 playing. The quarterback goes down and the wheels came off the wagon.
That's right.
I just don't think you can maintain a program at that level when the whole program is built on one guy. I think if you don't have some equal distribution there, if you don't have a balance with your offense and defense, you don't win many, and we're looking at that right now.
We have some rumors, although we're not going to repeat it, that maybe Jimbo Fisher might be.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that.
Have some offers.
That's right. Let's just put it that way. All right. The 2 of the 3 teams in the demolition department have no head coach.
Right.
The third one still has a head coach, and that's Arkansas.
And today's Monday.
That's
Tuesday.
right. Yeah.
Today's Tuesday, so you look at that. It may be Wednesday. They won't have one either.
That's right.
That was about as bad a performance with Arkansas and LSU this past weekend year as I've seen. They start the big 6'8" kid, and by the way, if you didn't see the news, how excited he was, he gets picked up on a DUI Sunday morning at 2 o'clock, so he'll be out this week. They got Mississippi State coming into town. Now they've got to go. They tried to use Austin Allen, and I don't know where you saw. He's been the starter for 3 years over there. A great athlete. Dad coaches on the staff. Brandon was a quarterback before. Had a great career at Arkansas. The kid's shoulder so bad he couldn't even bring his arm up over his head, and they expect him to play. And they expect him to play against that defense at Mississippi State. That might be an opportunity for the police going there for cruel and unusual punishment to have that kid done. But anyway, bottom line is Arkansas is in as big a turmoil as you've ever seen right now.
You'll send the police in there. That's pretty good, man.
Hey, I saw the police break up a scuffle on the sideline of a college football game this week. Wasn't even the coaches. It was security. But anyway, Arkansas is another one. Talent level is way down. They're down to their 3rd quarterback now. And I'll tell you how important the 3rd quarterback is. He's not even on the roster yet. He'll be showing up the first time.
They had to write his name in.
Yeah, he'll be like a write-in candidate.
That's
You're
right.
absolutely. So Mississippi State's grinning all the way to the bank on that one. But Arkansas is in the process of making a change. We all know that. But not only, and it goes back to that comment I made earlier, not only just the head football coach, the athletic director's going too. He was almost like the Auburn situation. He's given them a date, June 1st, but he's also said any time a new athletic director can be appointed or found, then he'll step down completely. And I think that was, I don't want to say forced, but that was highly suggested by the Board of Trustees.
All right, the next 3, still going to leave the hard hat on, touch on them. Vandy, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Start with Vandy.
All right, Derek Mason's done a good job, but he's 0-6 in the conference.
Right.
And I just, I don't see how he can do any better. I mean, Schumer, the outstanding quarterback, had 4 picks. this past weekend and sacked 5 times. I mean, that's the whole team now this time of year. And this is what happens to teams like a Vanderbilt that has enough quality to play early in the year, but as the season goes on, injury after injury after injury. If you lose two or three guys off a team like Vanderbilt, you don't have enough to compete, and that's what we saw this past weekend. So, I think he'll survive because, again, the philosophy of the university. But Vanderbilt right now 4-6, they're 0-6 in the conference. I think if they get 5 wins this year, they'll be very fortunate.
Ole Miss, so much turmoil, so much going on.
And Matt Luke, bless his heart, he wants that job so bad, but they're not going to give it to him. They've already put out a national search, and they're going to try to bring someone in. I heard Charlie Strong's name, and I've heard a lot of guys in and around. I think this is going to be a very critical hire. They've got to find somebody that's strong enough and balanced enough that can withstand the pressure from the alumni first, and also from, obviously, an SEC schedule. If they can continue, they're 5-5 right now. They got a chance. They may get one more win out of this thing. I don't think they can beat Mississippi State at the end of the season. But the fact is they've done what they had to do. They played Louisiana Lafayette this past week, and they scored 50 on them, and they had them 35. They had 450 yards at halftime throwing the football. So they've got some talent on that team. The only thing I don't want to read is I read about why Ole Miss is in a position to hire a high-name coach, is that, quote, Hugh Freeze proved that you could recruit to Ole Miss. Duh! Did you see how he got them there? Come on, do you not read? Writers, as another one, be responsible for what you put out. It's a situation. But bottom line is they got their work cut out for them. Ole Miss is a fine institution. I was fortunate enough to spend a couple of years there, and really still have some really good friends on that staff.
And it could be a situation where the people that are actually hiring the next head coach won't even be there.
That's the
other
situation.
All those parts of that puzzle fall together.
Exactly right. In that situation at Ole Miss, I hate to say this, but for an image factor and cleanup, that may have to happen there, because that's a bad scene from everybody inside Mississippi still thinks of it as a big time program and all. They don't go out. I've made the comment the other day. I do shows over there all the time. I get calls and I have to stop them every time. I said, go outside the state, go to some national publications, go to the surrounding states. Ole Miss is not looked at in a very favorable light right now. So because of all this turmoil that's going on, I hope they can find somebody that can clean it up. But here's what I'm going to tell you: when the NCAA sanctions come down, it is not going to be an easy cleanup. I can tell you guys, it's going to take them 3 to 5 years to get it back on track.
We're going to catch up with Auburn, Alabama, and some other teams when we come back right here on Game Day TV.
Home. It's where you take your time. Build the future. Make your memories. Celebrate. Come home. Alpha Insurance.
You can travel all over and you won't find another town with our name or our frame of mind. So much to do, so much to see. It comes down to this, it's easy to see. There's just one in the world, positively. Tuscaloosa, the one and only.
Thank you. I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chepkauskas family.
Sundown Tint is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond's Hooper Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano-ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown Tint in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
Welcome back in, everyone. I want to remind you, you can follow us on Facebook. We even post this show on Facebook, so if it's easier for you to watch it there, of course, we're on Charter Spectrum Channel 80 statewide on the Alabama Cable Network. We appreciate you watching us there as well, but you can always go to Ask Game Day TV. Pick us up there. Not only do we put the show on there, but we put some pictures on there. One of them I'm going to show you in the next segment that is probably the rarest sighting of all time. I'm just going to leave it there.
It's a collector's item.
It is. It'll be a collect. You're going to see it here on the show, but I'm also going to put it on our Facebook page. That way you can take a picture of it and send it around to everybody. But Max, let's move on. Last one we didn't cover right there under the hard hat, but they're on it's Texas A&M.
I don't think it's in there. They had a big time weekend. They beat New Mexico. They scored another for 55 or whatever points out there, but no competition. I don't think you can value that game. But see, right now A&M is basically they scored 55. They're sitting at 6-4. But you know what? They got Ole Miss and LSU left to play. So I'm not real sure they're going to do a whole lot better than 6-6 this year. I can say this, I think unequivocally, that if in fact they don't do better than 6-6, there's going to be a coaching change there. And rumors already come out. We talked you touched on it a little bit about A&M, about really making some offers out there to send a word, and one of them was to Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. So we'll see. He hadn't responded to that, from my knowledge. But the fact is they've got to regroup out there. Two programs I keep on my soapbox about this. There are two programs in this conference that should never be without athletes. That's Texas A&M and the University of Florida. There's 250 D1 players in Florida and 400 in Texas. And Texas themselves, the University of Texas, who dominated that for years, have been down. Jared, they had Charlie Strong was there, and he couldn't get the top players to come to Texas. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where they went all over, evidently to Oklahoma, the way Oklahoma's playing right now. But the fact is, A&M is struggling right now, and Kevin Sumlin's certainly on the hot side.
All right, we're going to talk about the next teams that's kind of just need a little tweaking, a little touch-up. I'll tell you, they're Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and LSU. Let's start with Missouri. They had a big win.
They had a big one. Bear Lundy's done a really Bear Odom has done a really good job in bringing that team together. He started out like 1-4. Well, he's 5-5 now, and I'm going to tell you, based on who they've got left to play, you go back and look. I think by throwing the ball like he has, Drew Lock through this past weekend, he was over 300 yards in passing and running himself. So he's got an NFL quarterback on that football team. They've got a decent running game to offset that. Missouri, I think, is certainly on an upward trend right now. And look at the rest of their schedule. They got a chance to end up being very good by the end of the season.
South Carolina,
look, that wasn't a clean game. They played Florida. I think it was 28-20 was the X score in that ball game. And South Carolina was coming off of that beat down by Georgia the week before, which really played pretty well physically. But again, Will Muschamp just doesn't have enough athletes to bounce back from a game like that and win. He's got 7 wins. He could get 8. I don't think he can beat Clemson at the end of the year. But if you get him 8 wins on a team that was 3-9 2 years ago, he may get Coach of the Year.
He gets to stay another year or two anyway.
Absolutely.
All right, Kentucky doing pretty good.
They this past weekend they beat Vanderbilt 44-21. Benny Snell, the running back, 2,000 yards and 28 touchdowns. He set all the records that Kentucky has scored, and they just turned and headed off. He's a really good athlete. But I think they've probably won out. They'll be 7-5, it looks like right now. And if that be the case, they got Georgia and Louisville left. And I don't think they can beat Georgia and Louisville. Certainly, if Lamar Jackson gets loose, they ain't got anybody catch him. So, I think 7-7. If they do a 7-5 year, Mark Stoops will be doing a good job, and I think he'll be safe there without a problem.
The only reason that Mississippi State is not down in our top 3, so to speak, is because they lost. But boy, did they play Alabama tough.
They did. And again, this is where I made an underestimation for Mississippi State. They actually used the 2 weeks to get ready, and I know that happens a lot of times. But coaches don't like to admit that. They never will admit that, but they did. Look, they beat UMass 34-27. They should. That was like a Conference USA team or Sun Belt, basically. But, they did what they had to do. And they prepared for Alabama during that time, and they played extremely well. I don't want to say Alabama was lucky. Alabama lost 3 quarters. They won the 4th quarter, which was all-inclusive of a champ. But that's the mark of a good team in a championship. Again, I've said it before, and I'll say it one more time. To me, Dan Mullen is probably at least the second best coach and I'm not really sure he's not bumping on the top coach in the conference because of the talent level that he's able to draw to Starkville and what he gets out of those kids.
Right.
He really has. He's done a good job. His name's come up all over the country. Dan's got it made. 7-8 wins a year. He's 6 games away from being the all-time winningest coach at Mississippi State. I'm telling you guys, they'll be able to statue for him, and he'll be up there about
some rumors for him to move one state north too. So we'll see if that holds true. All right, LSU.
You know, you can't be more happy for Ed Ogeron. Ed Ogeron took that team after they played Alabama, even though it was a close ball game. There's no such thing as moral victories, but the fact is that LSU got a moral victory at Alabama in the state that the program is in right now. They played very vanilla against Arkansas. They did what they had to do. They didn't blitz a whole lot. They were behind 2 or 3 times that game. They come away with a win, 33-10. Arkansas, the wheels have come off of that. We can't say enough. When you got to have to play a 6'8" quarterback and it was third and 2 and 4th and 1, and they don't go for it. What does that tell you? I mean, they don't have any confidence in their program. So that way, hats off to LSU. I think they're going to win out. I do believe that they're going to end up being a 9-win team this year. They get a bowl win. They would have a 10-win season. I'm telling you.
And just a few weeks ago, we were wondering, Orgeron
was
going to make
his job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
through the week.
You're right. Absolutely. Hats off to him.
Right.
My good friend that coaches the defensive front. I don't say he's made a difference, but he's pretty well made a difference on that defense.
All right, top 3 teams in the SEC that we're going to give praise to. Let's start with Auburn.
Well, no doubt, Auburn by far surpassed anybody's expectation. Not so much that Auburn can't play, but they were and they were at home. But the fact is, the performance, they were dominant. I don't want to get into what Coach Malzahn said at the end of the game, but he said they beat them pretty bad, and they did. They beat them every way. Kevin Steele coached the defense. He had those guys lined up. This was their goal going in, to keep Chubb and Michelle, the 2 running backs, 27-1, to keep them under 100 yards. You know what they got? 46 yards combined rushing. That killed them right there. They had less than 200 yards total offense. The game plan was to make Fromm throw it down the field, put the pressure on him, and see what a freshman can do. Well, he couldn't do enough. And we said that. Take nothing away from what Kirby Smart's done. Remarkable progress this year. I still say, I said it before, I'll say it again, he was a year ahead of schedule. They've got Kentucky this week. They handle that. Then Georgia Tech. They go back to Atlanta to either play Alabama or Auburn. I hate to say this again. I don't think he can beat either one of them, even Auburn the second time. And that's pretty hard to do, to play Auburn or any other team twice and not get a chance to win one of them.
That's right.
So I like what Auburn and where they are right now. They're very confident.
Auburn was having fun in that ball game. I remember Pat Dye used to preach that.
Exactly right.
We're here to play football. This is a sport. It's fun.
Yeah.
And if you're losing, of course, it's no fun. But, the whole game, you should have fun and enjoy being out there.
The most fun was the shots we got of Toomer's Corner. I mean, you could not. I don't think they rolled Toomer's Corner. They rolled the whole downtown of Auburn.
Right.
And rightly so.
That's
I mean, that was a huge win. Might be one of the biggest wins in Auburn history.
I think so. I think for Malzahn.
It is for Malzahn.
It built some concrete under him, that's for sure. Okay, Alabama. Wow. We could talk the whole show about that one game, break it down. But
31-24 in that ball game. It had to come really from behind in the fourth quarter. But and I think, how can you not say enough about Jalen Hurts? Hey, look, the last 2 ball games with Alabama, with LSU and Mississippi State, they wouldn't have won the ball game without Hurts. It was critical 4th and 1, 4th and 2. He went for it like 3 times, and he got the first for them. So, you got to give it to them. The defense we know was down. They've lost 4 linebackers. I saw that, and we made some comments about that. But, guys, I'm going to tell you, it was more than that. It was the defensive front. Mississippi State was getting to them. Mentally, I think Alabama knew they were so confident they knew they could win. Championship teams get that way. What did Nick Saban say afterward? Probably the best thing that ever happened to his program this year, particularly, because they realized that they were beat up front. And yet they had enough resolve to come back and win the football game. So hats off to Alabama. They got Mercer this week, which that means they got Auburn to prepare for.
Right.
They'll take the next 12 days to prepare for Auburn.
All right. You left Georgia on this list because of where they are overall right now.
Absolutely. They came in number 1 in the nation. They were 9-0. They're now 9-1. You know, they got Kentucky coming up. They'll get that win, and I think they'll get the win against Georgia Tech as well. I think the challenge that Kirby Smart's got, and he made this statement after, he said, it's not so much where you are when something like this happens, is how you bounce back. What is your resolve? How tough mentally are you? And I think that's what they're going to preach all week. I don't think Georgia goes out there and beats the team up. I don't think they scrimmage every day and put the pads on. I think they kind of lighten up on them a little bit because they've got to get their confidence back. They're still a very young football team. We've talked about that.
Right.
And did it show or did it show? It showed tremendously. Auburn was ready to play. Georgia wasn't, but Georgia, in the stage that they're in, they weren't capable of being ready to play a game like Auburn.
Well, I don't say it's very possible. It is possible that Auburn and Georgia play each other again.
It is.
Yeah, Auburn's got to win out. Alabama wins out. Of course, everybody controls their own destiny, but that's the same thing we say this time of year every year, so that's
right.
what it is.
Yep.
Hey, guess what? We got Marty Staples back with us, and we're going to come out of commercial break. You'll see Marty there doing his tips on tailgating segment. All of his recipes, by the way, that he will be showing you today will be posted on our Facebook page at Ask Game Day TV. So go to Facebook. You'll see him this afternoon up there sometime ahead of him doing this, so you'll have your recipes. Okay, we got high school coming up. I got a picture to show you of Max. We'll be back with more right here on Game Day TV.
The unexpected. The inevitable. The inconvenient. Life can be difficult. Make it a little easier. Alpha Insurance.
You can travel all over and you won't find another town with our name or our frame of mind. So much to do, so much to see. It comes down to this, it's easy to see. There's just one in the world, positively. Tuscaloosa, the one and only.
Make your vehicle a rolling billboard or a one-of-a-kind by changing the entire color by adding a high-quality vehicle wrap. Sundown Vehicle Wraps is the premier vehicle wrap company in Central Alabama. Our extensive knowledge makes us the leader in vehicle advertising. Whether you're a small business looking to increase revenue or a stabilized company looking for guaranteed visibility for your company, from design to installation, our team delivers with innovative graphics that are guaranteed to turn heads at an affordable price. Visit us on the web to start your next vehicle wrap project.
Thank you.
I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chipkauskas family.
Welcome into the Tips on Tailgating segment with Game Day Chef Marty Staples. I'm Jerry Young, coach, along with Coach Max Howell. Marty, this meal we're kind of preparing for this segment, maybe for late afternoon.
Yeah, I'd say it's like your 5 o'clock game.
5 o'clock game?
5 o'clock, yeah.
All right, so tell us what we got here. I see these little delicious looking morsels over here.
Yeah, those are our Doremus sausage corn dog bites. And we're going to pair them up with a little honey mustard sauce.
Yeah?
And next to it is going to be a tomato soup salad. My mother's absolute favorite recipe. She serves it at all of her bridge clubs. And let me tell you what, it's got to taste like you say. What is that I'm eating?
We're going to try it out.
Okay. And then also we got our pimento cheese mac and cheese.
Like pimento mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Man.
And I myself don't like the egg mac and cheese. I like that creamy mac and cheese. So that's what it is, creamy mac and cheese.
Now wait,
pimento cheese.
don't forget the dessert.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites now.
Yeah. Notice Coach always gets the dessert. Today we're going to be doing s'mores with roasted marshmallows on top of Reese's peanut butter cups.
All right, folks. Well, let me just tell you that, first of all, let me go back to the corn dog bites.
Okay.
Doremus sausage,
is our sponsor of the Game Day Tips on Tailgating with head chef, Game Day chef, Marty Staples. I almost forgot your name.
Well,
Marty.
don't do that.
I've known you but for years. But
and I'll tell you what, if you want me to, I'll show you how you make those.
Why don't we do that? Let's go straight back here. We got our deep fat fryer, is that correct?
That's correct. And what I've done is I put a little Dorema sausage down in a bag. I put a little bit of cornstarch in it.
Yeah.
That makes sure that the Dorema sausage is real dry. That way your corn dog batter will adhere to it.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna put it right down there into the
So you just
stick.
stick the stick into the sausage.
And then here's the corn batter. Now tell me if this gets too difficult for you.
Okay. Put it in the batter.
And then you put it in the deep fat fryer. Just like that. Wow.
Almost like a fondue kind of thing.
Almost like a fondue thing.
And then it comes out
Looking like that. Looking like that.
That you can dip in honey mustard and eat.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you make another couple while you're standing back there?
Okay.
Because we don't want to not have enough. Because Max is.
Listen, it's almost my dinner time.
Hey, while he's dipping those in the fryer, I'll remind you again that we want to thank the folks at Dorema Sausage. Dorema Sausages, put an S on it, .com. They'll ship smoked sausage anywhere all over the country. They do every day. So I want to thank Herb and all his group down there. An old family recipe that's been around for many, many years. And we know there's other sausage companies in Alabama. Let me tell you, folks, once you try this, you won't go back.
Now, you
This
need
is
to
the
go a little
best.
bit closer to home than that, Jerry.
Yeah.
You said down there. That's in downtown Booth, Alabama.
Booth, Alabama.
If you've never been, you need to make the trip to Booth.
That's right, which is near Prattville, which is where you grew up.
Just an outskirt, just on
That's
the
right.
outskirt.
And also remember, in November, they're going to start shipping out their holiday hams.
Oh, yeah.
See, we hadn't even started thinking about
Oh
that.
yeah, we're gonna have holiday hams for December for Christmas. Was it? And
They'll ship them anywhere?
Anywhere in the country, smoked hams from Dorema. So go to DoremaSausages.com. Check it out. Okay. Well, let's take a bite here, Marty.
We got something coming out here.
Oh well, I'm gonna.
You gonna get some of those?
I'm gonna get some of this honey mustard.
Now, this tomatoes, and I don't know whether you told them or not, but all these recipes are on the Game Day recipe.
Ask Game Day TV on our Facebook page. Just go right there. All these recipes will be posted. So if you want to be the star of your tailgate, just go to Ask Game Day TV, hit the like button, and all of our recipes, all of Marty's recipes will be posted right there on Facebook.
And I'm only charging $1 a recipe.
Is that
Good,
right?
listen, that's cheap.
You all enjoy it. Just
right.
make sure you tell them that I'm the one that gave you the recipe.
That's right, Marty Staples. And look at this mac and cheese, folks. This is pimento and cheese. Pimento mac and cheese. I'll get it right in a minute. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, Marty, is it hot or do I eat one of these that's cool?
It's not quite there yet.
All right, I'm going to eat one of these that's cool. I'm going to give Max one. All right, Max.
I'm gonna get into that salad.
Uh-oh.
There we go. We got a dip. We got a
Dip it
little,
right in
have
there.
a little dip here now.
That's right.
Woo!
Is it good, Max?
Wow.
What you think?
All right. Hey, I'm going to tell you thanks for watching Tips on Tailgating with Game Day Chef Marty Staples before I take a bite of this. Because once I take a bite, I'm not going to be able to talk.
You're going to have all those over there eating before we're out of here.
No problem. Hey, okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Keep watching for more Tips on Tailgating with Game Day Chef Marty Staples to come right here on Game Day TV.
All right, hope you enjoyed that segment of Tips on Tailgating with Marty Staples. Again, I'll remind you to go to our Facebook page at Ask Game Day TV to get all of the recipes. Max, you and I on the road this past Friday. We had good results. You were on with Raycom down in Mobile. Good ball game down there. McGill-Toolen looks pretty good.
Yeah, they do. The biggest thing about McGill-Toolen, and we just touched on just a moment, they lost 19 seniors off that team last year, and the coach,
Right.
The young coach now that moved into that slot, had been on the staff for 2 years as an assistant, moved up to that 3 years. His team, McGill-Toolen, was 36-2. Their junior high team went undefeated this year. Their B team went undefeated this year, and the varsity went undefeated, and they're still undefeated. An outstanding program. I'm anxious to watch and follow them the rest of the playoffs.
Check our Facebook page to see where Raycom Sports is going to be this Friday night. Max does the color analyst for the Raycom Game of the Week. You can see him at pathtotheplayoffs.com is how you can watch him, as well as on any of Raycom's station. But the one thing that's the most interesting that I got, and I'm about to throw this picture up there, is there are some rare things in this world, okay? And I'm going to say it like this. If Max comes to your funeral and he leans down to look at you, his tie is not going to hit you in the face because he won't be wearing one. But look what we found this Friday night. There's Max in his football tie. Max, you're looking good, buddy.
Well, I think, and I have the cliche. I had to wear a tie for so long, Jerry.
Right.
I was a high school principal for a while, and I've worked in the business world. But the fact is I reserve ties for funerals and weddings.
Right.
And I don't plan on being married anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to wear one to a wedding. And I'm not sick. I feel very good right now. So I don't think the funeral's in my immediate future anyway.
That's right. Well, also want to thank Max. You can watch him. We're moving down to Maplesville this week. Number one team in 1A. A lot of folks say they could be the number one team in several classifications, but Maplesville number one in the state in 1A. They'll be taking on Talladega County Central High School, Talladega County Central. That game played down in Maplesville. We'll have it for you on the NFHS network, as well as we'll simulcast it on Dixie 100.1 FM. So if you're in central Alabama and one of those massive 22 county areas down through there where that station covers, I'll be bringing you play-by-play on the radio, so you can watch it on the network or listen to it on the radio or do both. Okay, let's get into some brackets now, as we're want to talk about whether or not your team made it in. Some of them have lost and some of them get to move on. So the brackets are starting to shrink a little bit. First of all, we'll go to 1A. In 1A, here's how the teams stack up. Milry will play, Milry lost to Isabella. Isabella will play Whiteley after their win over Pleasant Home. Moving on down the chart there, Georgiana will be at home against Marengo. Maplesville, as I just mentioned, will be at home against Talladega County Central. Talladega County Central beat Houston County 39-7 to get in there. And while I'm on it, Maplesville just squeaked by Linden. That game was a whole lot closer than it appears on the score. They were tied at 28 in the third quarter. Sweetwater advances. They won, and they will play Brantley in that division as well. Now on the other side of that bracket, Addison will be at Hackleburg, South Lamar will be at Cedar Bluff, Cherokee will be at Lynn, and Spring Garden will be at Pickens County. So that's your 1A brackets right there. Now we'll move on to 2A. Hope your team around the state is on this bracket. If they won, you got Laverne at Aliceville, you got Leroy at Arrington, Thorsby at Goshen, that'll be a good ball game, Abbeville at St. Luke's. So moving on over now to the north part of the state, you will have Reeltown at Sulligent, Lafayette at Fife, Lamar County at Ranburne, Sand Rock at Lynette. So those are big games in the 2A bracket, and of course this bracket will go to half that after this Friday night. We're in playoffs, folks. It's win or go home, as you know. All right, let's move on now to 3A. Here's how 3A stacks up. Mobile Christian got a big win over Pike County 21-0. They move on to the next bracket. They'll play a team that seems to be there every year, and that's Gordo. So Mobile Christian at Gordo, Clark County at Wicksburg, American Christian will play at Montgomery Academy, and Oakmont Oatman will play at Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa. All right, on the other side, you got Sylvania at West Morgan, Randolph County at Fultondale, Colbert Heights at Weaver, and J.B. Pennington will play up at Piedmont. Piedmont, every year, one of those teams, when you talk about playoffs, you talk about Piedmont, they're always a good football team. In 4A now, we move along to 4A. Tallahassee beat Thomasville. Unbelievable ball game, 35-32, so congratulations to Mike Battles Jr. and his team. They will travel to Bibb County to play the Choctaws in the second round. UMS Wright advances by beating Leeds 42-7. They'll play Montgomery Catholic. Alabama Christian will play W.S. Neal. That is a big, big win for W.S. Neal. They went up to Munford. Munford is not an easy team to beat on any given Friday night. Congratulations to W.S. Neal. They will be playing Alabama Christian. St. James at Andalusia, Oaks Bluff at Rogers, Jacksonville at Fayette County, Wilson at Cherokee County. Cherokee County, always a good football team. They squeaked by Sardis 21-14. And Dora, a lot of folks happy that Dora advanced. They beat a good team to make it into the finals. They beat Deschler 29-20 out of North Alabama. They will play Sac. So there's your 4A division now, Max. And, you know, just some good matchups in those lower classifications. I know you're going to be calling some Super 7 this year. You'll see some of those teams coming up. Good football. Even though they don't have the roster the size of the ones coming up, they play good.
They really do. Of course, we're fortunate enough we'll be in the Birmingham market this week, and
Right.
I'm anxious to see some of those players, as you well know. I picked out 3 or 4 this past weekend to play at the next level.
All right, let's move on now to 5A. There's some great matchups here. Not a surprise, really, but Andrew Zal's Calera Eagles go and beat Jackson, so they make it to the playoffs. They will play Beauregard. St. Paul's will travel to Carroll. That's in Ozark. They had to go up there, so to speak, and play them. That'll be second-round game. Central of Clay County advances to play Demopolis, so Demopolis doing well. And Viger will play Eufaula in the South Division of 5A. Now, in the North Division, you will have St. Clair County at May Jemison up in Huntsville. That'll be a good ball game. Winona at Mortimer Jordan. Brooks at Etowah. And Lee Huntsville will play Briarwood Christian. Briarwood Christian just totally demolished Crossville on a Thursday game, 62-0. You don't see that very often in playoff play, but Fred Yancey got those guys playing.
They do. Look, I can't wait. I want to see them. I really want to see them play.
Yep. Okay, let's move on now. 6A, we get a little move on up in class. Sarah Lamb with a big win over Benjamin Russell at Alexander City, so they come out of there. They'll play Hillcrest Tuscaloosa. Had no problem with Stanhope Elmore. Opelika and Park Crossing. That game, I think, played at Crampton Bowl, but Park Crossing, as you've heard me say throughout the year, one of the hardest hitting defenses in the state. They get to tackle Opelika, and we'll see how they do there as well. Carver Montgomery advances by beating McAdory. Some people thought that wouldn't happen, but it did. They'll play Smoking Company down at Wetumpka. So Carver Montgomery doesn't have far to go. Just go across the bridge there into Wetumpka. That's what that game will be. Okay, Sidney Lanier at Spanish Fort. They continue to win. Sidney Lanier doing a good job squeaking by Paul Bryant by 1 point, 21-20. In the north part of the state, Shays Valley won. They'll play number 1 Austin. Austin beat Carver Birmingham 48-0. In the other bracket, Ramsey surprised some folks. They beat Coleman 14-0. They'll play Pinson Valley. That right there, defending state class champs, and they will play Pinson Valley, so that'll be a good ball game. Muscle Shoals wins. They'll play Oxford. Over in Oxford, Clay Chalkville will go to Homewood. That will be a huge matchup in the Birmingham area. Now to the big boys, the 7A. And here's how they'll stack up. Auburn will play McGill-Tulane. McGill-Tulane advances in the game that we mentioned earlier that Max called. Lee Montgomery, I'm not surprised at all they handle Fairhope. I've said all year they're a better team than you think they are. They go down, beat Fairhope 28-7. They advance to play Central of Phoenix City, who walked all over. That's right. Yeah, what an honor, because you got to go play Jamie Dubose down in that great facility down at Central of Phoenix City, down in the city there. The city owns that stadium. They got a big jumbotron. It's quite an event to go down. Okay, in the north side, Mountain Brook beat Bob Jones. They will advance to play Thompson. That's the game I call. While I got just a moment, I want to say thank you to the folks at Thompson. They were so hospitable to us. Vince Pitts, the AD there, and his whole staff, they welcomed us. We were able to broadcast the game on the NFHS network. So thanks to Thompson, and congratulations to them for moving on. And then in the other bracket, you got quite possibly the biggest game in the state. You got Hoover at Hewitt-Trussville. Hoover advances by beating Sparkman 49-7, and Spain Park loses to Hewitt-Trussville 33-21, a valiant effort. But it came up short. So that's all the teams in the state. That's your brackets. Next week, we'll have half this many to talk about, Max, but that's what makes it fun.
It really is. And I told Grim Dunn, who's the play-by-play guy I work with, first time I'd really sit with him, it was really an exciting opportunity. Jared, the people that's never been at that level and really observe what goes on, you don't know what you're missing. You need to tune in.
It really is like the second season. Max is going to talk upcoming games in the SEC when we come back here on Game Day TV.
How do you show love? With the big things? The little things? The tough things? Your everything. Show them you care. Alpha Insurance.
Sportsmanship is the educational component derived from athletic contest. In sportsmanship enhances the character of student athletes because of the impact of the leaders of each sports team. Those leaders help develop the character of those student athletes to be displayed in times of adversity.
Welcome to Game Day TV. I'm Kim Scherer with your Game Day forecast. We had a few surprises in college football this past weekend, but one thing that won't be a surprise this week is how our weather starts out. We have typical fall-like weather with pleasant days and cool, crisp nights, leading up until Friday. For Friday, we'll have highs in the 60s and lows in the 50s. Partly cloudy skies early and increasing chances of rain leading into Friday night. The chances are at 40 and 50% later in the evening for all of Alabama. Hopefully it'll hold off until after the playoffs are over, but I'd bring a raincoat just in case. Saturday, a cool front comes in for both Alabama and Auburn, with highs in the low 60s and lows in the 40s. Both teams will have a 50% chance of rain. It won't be a complete washout, but you do have a chance of getting wet. Tuscaloosa will have increasing clouds with periods of showers later in the day. Thankfully, the game is early and the rain will possibly hold off. Auburn's chances of rain are during the day, so take your ponchos just in case. Nothing worse than being cold and wet at a football game. That's all for weather. Back to Max and Jerry.
All right, welcome back in. Thanks, Kim Scherer, for doing our game day weather. Hope it's going to be pleasant where you're going to be this weekend. I know it's going to be pleasant for some of these teams that's going to win. Big matchups, LSU at Tennessee, Max.
You know, I got to go with LSU in that one. Tennessee's just fired their football coach, and they in complete turmoil. And I think Coach Orgeron and the staff there is really rising to the occasion. And they want to finish strong. They got Tennessee and Texas A&M at the end of the season. I think they get 2 wins. 9-win season for them in the first year with a bowl win, a 10-win season at LSU after all the stuff they've gone through. Hats off to them. I'm taking LSU in that one.
And Auburn gave them a gift earlier in the year.
Did.
Kentucky at Georgia.
Georgia's going to rebound. Kentucky's played well this year. They got 7 wins going in right now. Mark Stoops done a remarkable job. But basically, Kirby Smart's got the program. He'll rehab that bunch this year. They got their eyes on the SEC championship game. I like Georgia in that one.
All right, so Mississippi State comes off of a very tough loss. They
really
left.
was.
I can tell you this: they left it all on the field.
They really did.
That's one of those games.
And the hardest thing to do is to get them back up to play the next week. But
that's right.
You're talking about a gift. They play Arkansas.
That's right.
Who doesn't have a quarterback right now? I'm thinking they're going to go probably to the Wildcat and just snap it to somebody and run with the ball. But I like Mississippi State in that one. I think it'll be a little bit closer than usual, but mainly because Mississippi State's got to rehab off that physical tackling that they did against Alabama.
All right, Texas A&M, they travel to
They go
Ole
to Oxford.
Miss. Go to Oxford
They go to Oxford, and I'll tell you, they had 55,000 at that ball game this past week against Louisiana Lafayette. They win that one. They score 50 points in that ball game. I'm taking Ole Miss in this one. I think there's some turmoil going on at A&M. Look, they can't be any more turmoil than it is at Ole Miss, but they've accepted that. They know where they are.
Right.
This is new for Texas A&M. Kevin Sumlin, without a doubt, is on the hot seat. I'm taking Ole Miss in that ball game at home.
All right, we're fortunate enough to be able to talk about UAB because we're stepping outside the SEC, but you and I aren't because UAB is stepping inside the SEC to play
They
Florida.
got 7 wins. I'm telling you, look, you go back and really look at where that program has been and where they are. They're going to Gainesville to play this week.
Right.
I'm taking UAB. I think the wheels have completely come off at Florida. And I know they're being lectured to by administration, and Randy Shannon's trying to get the job done. UAB to Gainesville. I'm taking them over University of Florida.
Congratulations to Bill Clark for what he's been
doubt
able
about
to
it.
do and all. Everybody knows the story of UAB. So here they are now with a chance to beat an SEC team in Florida. We'll see how that goes. Missouri travels to Vandy.
And they on a roll. Missouri, without a doubt, guys, they got their offense. I don't care who they're going to play. They're going to score. If you don't score more than 30 against Missouri, you're going to lose. Drew Lock is an outstanding quarterback. Barry Odom's did a really good job in pulling that team back together. They play in Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's on a downward spiral. I'm taking Missouri in that one.
Wofford at South Carolina, who cares?
Well, South Carolina's looking to Clemson.
That's right.
That's another one of those 2-week preparations for Clemson. We all know South Carolina. Wofford cannot play with South Carolina. Right. I'm taking South Carolina.
And then Mercer goes to Alabama. ULM goes to Auburn. Both of those are just practice games.
Those are practice. It's like a practice every day for them. Both Alabama and Auburn have tried their best not to be hurt. No physicality in that game. Just perfect on what they do, basically getting ready for the Big Iron Bowl.
All right. We want to talk about the bracket picture for college football. And I want to tell you, we got 4 teams: Alabama, Oklahoma, Miami, and Clemson is the way you see it.
Yeah.
But you and I talked before the show, what if Auburn wins?
That is the
wow.
But let me tell you, because of that 2-loss team that Auburn is in the conference and who they have beaten to get there, they've got to take a lot of momentum into the playoff situation. But now here's the key nobody wants to talk about. What about Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Wisconsin right now is 10-0. They're going to probably go undefeated. I don't believe that political-oriented committee is going to allow the Big Ten not to be in the playoffs, even if Wisconsin played 8 or 10 high school games, and they basically have.
Right.
But they've won. And when you pick up the sheet and look at it, and you see Wisconsin at 12-0 and won, or 13-0 with a championship game, and left out, they may go to 6 teams next week. I won't tell you.
Well, it
They
could
may
be very interesting, very controversial.
Yeah.
It's good for people like us because it
Big
gives
time.
us a lot of stuff to talk about in the what
is.
ifs, and we could take a whole hour just talking about what if. I mean, what if Alabama beats Auburn and then Georgia beats Alabama? I mean, it goes on and on.
It really is. I think, first of all, hats off to Miami.
Right.
Mark Richt did a remarkable job. They disassembled Notre Dame. And that was a surprise. I think everybody was waiting to see if Miami was for real. Guys, I'm going to tell you, they're for real.
And I saw Mark Richt on the sidelines. He looks healthier.
Yeah.
It's like when he was at Georgia, he was just beat down.
He was. Well,
And
I mean,
he's happy
when you get in that, and I'm telling you, in these openings that we've talked about, in those jobs that are open, those coaches think about that, Jerry. They really do.
All right, Max. Well, everybody wants to know every week. It's been one of your most popular things you do for years. What's for supper?
Man, I'm going to do chicken quarters. Now, I know this is one of your favorites.
Yes.
What I do, though,
Everything you do is one of my favorites.
Well, I know, but you love to do that. I kind of copy your recipes.
Okay.
Basically, I love the chicken quarter. I marinate them in an Italian dressing because it's an oil-based. You've done this before. But the key to it, I think, is I keep that heat probably around 375, close to 400, but I turn them every 3 or 4 minutes, but I baste them every time. Chicken is, in particular, white meat of the chicken is the easiest thing to dry out, and I hate to do that. But anyway, I love my chicken quarters, and I use an Italian dressing. I baste that. I cook it about an hour there. I do a coleslaw, but I use a mustard coleslaw, which becomes a yellow look on the table, but I sprinkle a little cayenne pepper on top. So when you take that bite, not only does it get a mustard taste, but you get a little ting on your taste as well. I do a mashed potato and gravy. It's a brown gravy with onions and mushrooms. I believe you like that a little bit. Garlic toast, which I use the Texas toast in a fryer, and I sop that stuff in with butter and garlic now. Flip it on both sides, soft in the middle, brown on the edge.
Hurry up.
You got to hurry back. And then wash all that down with a big old pitcher of sweet iced tea. But here's my dessert.
Yeah.
A 3-layer German chocolate cake, and each layer has an extra coating of that topping, which is a sugary, and I take a handful of crunch pecans and sprinkle it all over it, Jerry.
Hey, we're going to have one of these cooking things and invite everybody to taste them one day. Well, maybe we will. Hey, I want to thank everybody for watching this week. It's been a great show here on Game Day TV. I want to thank especially my buddy from South Alabama came up and helped me with the Thompson game. Tim Coleman. Tim, if you're watching in, thanks for all your help. We'll be traveling down to Maplesville. Max will be in Birmingham next Friday night, so tune in there. That's it for Game Day TV. Max, great show. We'll see you soon on another edition of Game Day TV.